Welcome to Stories from the Classroom, the podcast formerly known as the Thom Gibson Podcast. My name is Thom Gibson. I'm the creator and the producer of this show. And when I started this podcast a little over a year ago, I wasn't exactly sure the direction that it was going to take. It started with me recording some audio in my classroom and then thinking I've wanted to start a podcast for a while. So what if I just took that audio from the classroom and then kind of did sort of a voiceover and talked about what was going on and giving some context. And I thought it could be something that was a little bit different than what I was finding in the education podcast space. Most of the podcasts I found were just interviews. And so I thought, well, maybe it'd be cool to add this layer of this classroom audio and maybe even have some interviews that are surrounding a particular theme as opposed to maybe just interviewing one person. And so I started asking some teachers around my school that I thought were doing some cool and unique things in their classroom if I could come in and record and we could do an interview, and then I would put it together into this audio documentary style of podcast. And so over the past year, I've been just thinking about different names to call this besides the Thom Gibson Podcast, because the Thom Gibson Podcast doesn't evoke anything educational, and most people don't know who I am. Originally, I thought it'd be good for branding purposes, but I want this to go beyond my name and actually draw the crowd that it's meant for. And that's primarily other educators, but really anybody that's interested in hearing these stories from different classrooms. My goal with this podcast is to have one episode a month, just because it does take a little bit more time to produce this type of podcast. And I'm also starting to branch out to interview people that aren't just down the hall from me or in the same school as me, but other people outside of my school and outside of even the city of Austin, which I'm realizing takes a lot more time and planning and scheduling. And so I'm figuring all that out. And so I wanted to put out this sort of in-between episode, and this will be February's episode, being that February is a short month, so you'll get this short podcast. But I've got several in the works, including one on esports, one on actual storytelling in the classroom, getting up and just telling a story to a group of students, one on leveraging social media as educators, as well as one on how to teach creativity. And so for a lot of those, I'm touching base with educators that are coming to the education conference of South by Southwest in early March. And so that's really exciting to connect with some people that are outside of Austin. And so if you'd like to stay in the loop with any of these upcoming episodes, then subscribe wherever you listen to your podcasts. You can also keep up with me on Twitter at GibsonEDU. I've got 2 YouTube channels that I'm putting about 1 video a week on each. One is primarily geared towards educators, and it is just youtube.com/GibsonEDU. The other is one that I use in my YouTube video production class, and it's called Thom Teaches YouTube. THOM Teaches YouTube. If you search that, I'll probably be one of the first things that pops up. And if you'd like to see where all of my different links and blogs and videos and podcasts are all centrally located, you can go to thomgibson.com, THOMGIBSON.com. And you can also email me at gibsonedu@gmail.com. And so thank you so much for those who have been listening since the beginning, as well as those who have just joined recently. I am excited about these episodes. I hope you are too. If you've enjoyed these past episodes, please leave a rating and review wherever you listen to podcasts. That will help this podcast get in front of more people. And I also think having the name Stories from the Classroom instead of the Thom Gibson Podcast will get it in front of more people as well. So thank you so much for listening, and I will see you in the next podcast.